Searching for the Wonder Tree by Daphne Akinfoot. Once upon a time, near the Caramel Waterfall, far away in the otherworldly forest, stood a magical hat. In this hat lived two sisters. The first sister, Silena, was queen of all the fireflies, and extraordinarily enough, she herself was bright like a big firefly, wearing a crown of pure silver. When she wanted to summon her subjects, she would go to a nearby clearing. She would start dancing, and thousands of fireflies would fly to her and create a bright cloud with strange lights and shimmers. The other sister was the ethereal, iridescent fairy Lily-Dream. Her dress had all the colors of the spectrum, and her wings were white as the snow. If she wanted, she could make rain fall, create a rainbow, and slide on it, as if it were an actual slide. The two sisters envied one another, and quarreled over nothing almost all the time. Their favorite toy was the Wonder Tree in the heart of the forest, only a few inches taller than an ordinary pear tree. Its fruits had tough skin like painted glass, and in them danced an eternal flame. You had only to break one of those glass fruits, and one of your heart's deepest desires would come true. That tree was the last of its kind, and for that reason the two sisters were taking really good care of it. They watered it, pruned it, and saw to it that it always had plenty of fresh soil around its roots. One night, though, a stranger appeared in the otherworldly forest, walking as lightly and as swiftly as a cat, and everything changed in a way none of the two would have thought possible. Lily-Dream was sliding on a rainbow, and Silena was dancing bathed in the moonlight, surrounded by 1,000 fireflies, when they saw him. It was the poet Sorcerer who was passing through the forest. He had with him his magic quill, and with it he touched the stars, that opened to his touch like flowers made of light. His jacket was decorated with a great butterfly that flapped her colorful wings. He had a pretty belt wrapped around his waist, and green boots with golden buckles. Lily-Dream flew to Silena and asked, "Tell me, sister, have you seen in your life a young man such as him, so handsome and gentle?" "No, I haven't," she replied in a soft voice. "He must be passing through our woods. This is a chance I mustn't waste." "What say you?" asked annoyed the fairy. "Surely you don't mean to claim him for your own?" "I do, and I will," replied harshly the queen of the fireflies. "You do not find a cat such as this every day." "Precisely," said Lily-Dream, "and that is why I'll never let you have him. I will fly surely and swiftly as the wind to the Wonder Tree. I'll use its unique magic to steal his heart." And without a moment's waste, the white-winged fairy flew to the magical tree, and, not giving her sister a chance to stop her, took one of the tree's fruits and smashed it to the ground. "I want a dreamy palace to house our love," she said. She had barely finished her sentence when an enchanting palace appeared. It was made of blue stone, with pink roofs and oriental windows. "Look, sister," said proudly the fairy. "What do you think of this?" When the poet sees this exquisite palace, he will fall right into my arms." "That's what you think," said the bright queen, full of spite. And with those words, she took a second fruit from the tree and smashed it on a rock. "I want your beautiful palace to become haunted by restless spirits. Their screams will fill your nights with horror, and you will not know a moment's peace from now on. Now, my sister, the poet will have nothing to do with you." The fairy looked at her full of anger, but the Queen of the Fireflies didn't care. She laughed for a while, overjoyed that she had spoiled her sister's plans. Then she took a fruit from the tree and broke it. "I want a beautiful lake full of charming swans gliding softly on its watery surface, and a gold boat so that I can enjoy romantic boat rides under the moonlight. He will sing sweet verses to me, inspired by my beauty, and I will summon my fireflies to ride them in the air with their bright bodies." At the same moment, a lake appeared, exactly as the queen had imagined it. "Oh, sister, you should have known better than dare to challenge me," giggled wickedly the fairy. "I want a monster, great and horrible, to inhabit your lovely lake and pollute its clear waters, to scare your white swans and sink your golden boat. Let that be a lesson to you." At the same moment, a water dragon appeared, and the peaceful lake became a hellish waterhole. The queen bit her lip, but she said nothing. She knew her sister had defeated her using her own weapons. Terribly pleased with herself, the fairy broke another fruit and said, "I want a garden full of fragrant flowers to appear. I wish to have a golden swing. I will sit there with my poet, and we will share our thoughts. I want our garden to be surrounded by a tall wall, so that no outsider can disturb us." But she had barely finished her fantasy when the queen cancelled her wish with a new order. "May your beautiful garden be filled with scorpions and snakes to poison your sweet love, and with stinging nettles to sting your soft skin." At that moment, something like madness took over the fairy. "Fair enough, my sister," she said with hatred. "I may not be able to have the poet sorcerer for myself, but by God, neither will you." With those words, she grabbed the fruit from the tree and, full of madness, crushed it with her bare hands and said, "I wish the man you desire and the Tree of Wonders to be transported to the world's edge, where no man can reach them. That will teach you." "No, sister," cried the Queen of Fireflies. "What have you done?" But it was already too late. At the same moment, the Tree of Wonders and the Poet Sorcerer disappeared from sight, without as much as a trace to tell of their whereabouts. "Cruel, wicked fairy," mourned Selena. "Do you realize what you've done? You've ruined us!" Lily Dream's rage had passed by then, and realizing what she had done, felt desperation overcome her. "How could I have been so selfish?" she asked bitterly. "In my madness, I've thrown away our greatest treasure and our sweet poet. How can I go on living knowing I've brought onto us such a disaster?" "Don't despair, sister," said the Queen of the Fireflies. "We'll depart immediately on a journey to the edge of the world, and we will not rest till we find them." "It's no use," cried Lily Dream. The tree's magic is unbeatable, don't you remember? I've asked for the poet-sorcerer to be transported in a place that no man can reach, and it is only reasonable to assume that since the world has no edge, the poet and the tree are who knows where. But even if by some miracle we manage to defeat the magic of the tree and travel to the place that no man can reach, we would be unable to negate its magic, because no wish can erase another. It can only alter it. The Wonder Tree and the poet are to stay forever at the edge of the world, wherever that may be, with no hope of ever returning to the otherworldly forest. Whatever the case may be, replied Silena, we must try to do the unthinkable and make amends. Let's take a few things with us and travel to the most remote places of the earth to seek what can't be found and reach the place that no man can reach. So, the two sisters walked a long way, left behind them the caramel waterfall and the otherworldly forest till they reached the Diamond Hills. They crossed on foot the burning desert of cinnamon till, thirsty and exhausted, they finally reached a strange town that looked deserted. The two unhappy sisters started wandering in the streets, where an inexplicable spectacle expected them, a spectacle that left them truly amazed and befuddled. Carriages without a carter were roaming in the great roads, and in the gardens rakes were raking on their own. Doors and windows opened and closed without explanation. A bit further, in a yard, one could see a rocking chair, rocking back and forth, without anyone sitting on it, while two knitting needles were knitting a sweater, with no visible sign that someone was there to move them. Indeed, a lot of odd and amazing things seemed to take place in this strange town. Suddenly, as the two sisters kept walking, stopping at times to admire something strange and wonderful, Silena let out a cry and fell down. She had bumped into something she couldn't see.
"Who's there?"
asked someone. "Is somebody there?" asked frightened the two sisters. "Are you perhaps a ghost of some kind?"
"No,"
laughed the invisible man.
"Are you ghosts?"
"But we are unable to see you," said Lily Dream, amazed.
"Of course you are unable to see me,"
replied seriously the stranger.
"It's only to be expected, since you haven't drunk the unseen water. But I cannot see you either for the same reason."
"What is this unseen water?" cried Silena, confused.
"Oh, my dear lady,"
replied the stranger,
"it's something truly rare. It has qualities that I'm unable to adequately describe. All I can say is that the fountain of this sublime water flows in the heart of this very land, and it's only water we clock men drink. But you do well not to drink it. Just cover yourself with it from head to toe, and soon all will be clear."
"What say you, my sister?" asked Lily Dream. "Let's follow his advice," suggested Silena. And with these words, the two sisters went deeper into the strange city, bumping numerous times on passers-by that they couldn't see, and apologizing repeatedly till they found the fountain of the unseen water. Although they were very thirsty, they didn't drink a drop. They only washed themselves with it till they got wet to the bone. Then a strange change came over everything around them. Suddenly, As if a veil was lifted from their eyes, they were able to discern strange figures and the forms of many weird creatures. They were almost human in appearance, but they had also horns of a stag springing from their heads, as well as a clock where one would expect to see their chest. They had a rooster's beak and white clothes. "Impressive," said the Queen of Fireflies. "What strange people these are." At that moment, one of the mysterious creatures came up to them to greet them. It was the first stranger they had met. He welcomed them and invited them to his house.
"Come with me," he said. "The magic of the water becomes permanent only if you drink it. But if you only wash yourself with it, as you have done, its effect lasts for 1 or 2 hours.
"What effect?" asked Lily Dream.
"Isn't it obvious, my good girl?"
replied the stranger.
"You become invisible for the rest of the world, and visible only for those that, like yourself, are invisible."
The two sisters paused for a moment, as puzzled and confused as can be, but they followed the strange birdman willingly to his house, hoping to learn more about that magical land. But the man was also curious and eager to hear the story, and so whether they wanted it or not, they were forced to tell him everything about the mess they were in because of their selfishness and pride. He put on a kettle to prepare tea for them, which he then served in unusual cups, like sea shells or snail shells. Although the tea was made of unseen water, boiling it made its magical properties evaporate, so the sisters could drink it.
"Well, my girls,"
said the stranger, who answered to the name Hopscotch,
"you'll probably not like what you'll hear, but I'll say it anyway. I must tell you that I have not heard of anyone having traveled to the edge of the world, or seen it for that matter. Maybe it lies beyond the great crystal ocean, that, as it is said by those who know such things, has no edge. That's where I would head to if I were you. It's not a great help, I know, but I'll give you 2 flasks of unseen water. They may come in handy."
The two sisters thanked him and set off, leaving behind them that cozy house and the magical land of the unseen water. They walked and walked, and on the way they saw many beautiful and magical places and met a lot of strange people, but no one had ever heard of the edge of the world that no man can reach. They passed through the musical woods, where the trees reminded them of mysterious musical instruments, and found to their great astonishment that the air that passed through the branches whistled heavenly tunes that filled the senses with enchantment. They saw many interesting things, and on numerous occasions they paused to admire certain wonderful and magical sights, till they arrived at the shore, where the crystal ocean began and stretched, vast and deep, disappearing beyond the mysterious horizon. Near the shore there was the coastal town of Turkish Delight, where the toy people lived. Instead of bricks, the houses were made solely of pieces of Turkish Delight, and they spent all their time playing and constructing strange toys, like cubic balloons, stuttering dolls, round chessboards, where all the pawns were queens, and many more. Lots of people, mostly merchants and seafarers, were passing through town to buy those unique toys and sell all sorts of wares. Since they were tired from the long journey, the Queen of Fireflies and the iridescent fairy entered the crowded inn and asked the innkeeper to bring them something to eat. He, a happy, rosy-cheeked toymaker, brought them soup with plenty of bread and started chatting with them. Once they had told him what they sought, he said after some thought, "Listen, lasses, I've never heard of this edge of the world. Perhaps such a place does not exist at all. But why not ask the captain over there? He has travelled all over the crystal ocean and has visited many faraway places. If he can help you, no one can." The two sisters went over to the man, showed to them by the innkeeper, and asked him if he had ever happened to reach in the course of his journeys the edge of the world. He gave them a stern look with his bright eyes, and burst out laughing. "Blimey!" he said finally. "If you had asked me this question a few months before, I would have told you there is no such place. But there's an interesting coincidence. Not so long ago, I came across a mysterious island no one had discovered before me, and you'll never guess what name I've given it. The edge of the world. If this isn't the strangest coincidence, then my name isn't Noman."
"Noman?"
repeated Lily Dream.
"That's right, Noman, son of Noman. Why do you ask?"
"That's beyond amazing," said Lily Dream. "We have found the edge of the world that no man can reach. Do you realize what that means, sister? Our search is nearing its end." So happy were the two women that they started dancing around and around the captain like crazy.
"Don't get your hopes up," he said. "You have to know something. There, at the edge of the world, reigns the Lady of the Moon, and she doesn't take kindly to trespassers."
"We'll have to upset her, I'm afraid," replied Silene. "We won't leave without our tree and the poet sorcerer."
"As you would have it," said the captain, "but you'll have to carry your own weight if you are to board my ship. I don't have time to serve idle lasses. Have you any special skills?"
"I know how to fly and bring rain and rainbows," replied Lily Dream. "And I shine like a star and can call to me fireflies no matter how far they are," exclaimed Silene.
"I don't know," said Noman. "Women on board a ship bring bad luck."
But the two sisters were so convincing that finally Captain Noman gave in and led them to his ship that was painted gold with a seahorse carved on the prow as a figurehead and violet sails with red ornaments. Without delay, they boarded the ship and the journey began. They hadn't sailed the ocean for long when a grey fog surrounded them, rendering their sea course much more hazardous.
"Now, what will we do?"
growled the captain.
"I knew that women on board would bring bad luck. There was a lighthouse in these parts, but its lamp has been burnt out for a long time."
"Don't be so quick to blame us, Captain," said Silene, "and you'll see that women too can be useful at times." With those words, she closed her eyes and whispered something in an unknown language. Presently, fireflies from all the nearby islands, obeying the call of the Queen, started gathering over the lighthouse with a burnt-out lamp. In fact, there were so many, and the light was so bright, that the lighthouse became bright enough for all the ships sailing the crystal ocean to find their way in before.
"You are a little vixen, you are," said the captain with a smile. I've never thought you'd be so useful.
And the journey continued till they were safely out of the mist. The sky was full of stars, and some of them were open, like magical flowers.
Look, sister, this cannot mean but one thing. The poet's sorcerer is somewhere close, because only when he touches the stars with his magical quill they open in such a way.
Yes, now we know we are on his track, replied Silena. But the journey would present more obstacles for the two sisters. As they continued to sail onward, an island appeared, where a gigantic clown was making soap bubbles.
It's Cosmico, the magical clown, said the captain. He loves playing pranks on sailors.
Indeed, at that moment, a huge soap bubble popped on the ship's mast, and everything was covered in soap. The Queen of Fireflies slipped and fell, while Lilydreen started sliding around and around the deck of the ship, as if she were ice skating.
Stop that nonsense immediately, barked the captain. You, the bright one, had better grab a mop and start mopping, and you with the wings, grab a needle and fly over the soap bubbles to pop them before they reach the ship.
The two sisters got to work immediately. Lilydreen took the needle given to her by the captain and flew away to stop the rampant soap bubbles, while Silena started mopping the deck to ensure no one would slip again. The clown kept on making soap bubbles, and the fairy popped them till she was absolutely covered in soap, but that didn't stop her. The sea was soon beyond the reach of the clown, and Lilydreen would return to the deck, but meanwhile her sister had finished mopping. One thing is certain, with all that soap, the whole ship was squeaky clean and almost sparkled in the moonlight. They had successfully overcome the trials of the Crystal Ocean and finally had reached their destination, the edge of the world. It was an island full of palm trees, surrounded by emerald waters that shimmered and sparkled under the light of the rising sun. Seahorse, the captain's ship, set anchor a few yards away from the shore, and the little boat brought the two sisters to dry land. They headed deeper into the island, where the palace of the Moon Lady stood. Its onion-shaped domes, full of strange decorations, gave it the appearance of an oriental building that had sprung out of a fairy tale. The palace was surrounded by a garden, the likes of which were to be found nowhere else in the world, and was guarded by a giant with great big feet. The giant was old, but still very strong, and took his job very seriously, so that when the two sisters tried to cross the threshold of the great gate leading to the garden, his welcome was far from warm. Soon Lilydreen and Silena realized that the front gate was not the way to get into the garden.
Well, so what? Said Lilydreen. With my wings, I can fly into the garden, and when that fool isn't looking, find a way and let you in.
Have it your way, but be careful, said the Queen of Fireflies.
I bet it won't be as easy as you think.
But Lilydreen was more than just a little stubborn. Without a moment's hesitation, she flew high above the tall wall to enter the garden. But the giant knew well how to deal with such intrusions.
Where do you think you are going?
He yelled.
In this garden, there is something that belongs to me. A wonder tree. I'm going nowhere till I get it back,
threatened Lilydreen.
Don't excite yourself for nothing,
laughed the giant.
Our lady has ordered us to move the tree inside the palace, and you'll never get in, no matter what you do.
Oh, is that a fact? You just watch me.
And with those words, she flew towards the closest window. When the giant saw this, he did nothing at first. He only took out a flute and brought it to his lips.
If you think you are going to charm me with your music, you have another thing coming.
Oh, but it's not my intention to charm you,
said the giant cunningly.
Then whom?
asked Lily Dream. But soon the truth would come and smack her literally in the face. Suddenly, behind the rose bushes, swarmed 3 great flying umbrellas, closed and dangerous like pointy canes. Before Lily Dream had a chance to react, they were poking her, hitting her, pushing her like possessed rods. Scared and utterly humiliated, the fairy drew back as fast as she could. She returned to her sister in the sorriest state, sad and pitiful, more than I can adequately describe.
So, away with you,
said angrily Silena, in an attempt to drive away the umbrellas that continued their angry assault. But there was no need for that, because after a few seconds, realizing that they had successfully completed their mission, the umbrellas flew back to their master, who again hid them behind the rose bushes, where they were meant to stay, till the next time some intruder would dare to fly uninvited into his precious garden.
I don't mind all the beating,
whined Lily Dream.
What bugs me is that I now know the Wonder Tree isn't inside the garden. That can mean one thing, and one thing only. The giant had said the truth. The Moon Lady has hidden it in the palace to make sure nobody tries to steal it.
Yes, that complicates things, agreed Silena.
But wait a minute. I think I've just had an epiphany. I know how to get rid of the magic umbrellas. You don't say. Tell me how,
said Lily Dream with interest. Silena brought her mouth close to her ear and whispered something as if afraid that someone would hear her. The fairy smiled with meaning.
You're right. I've never thought I'd say this, but this crackpot idea might actually work.
In the meantime, the giant had laid under a tree and was napping. At the same time, he had his flute in hand and his ears stretched. But Lily Dream flew fearless over the garden once again and pretended that she was heading towards the palace.
Halt! Fly no further,
yelled the giant, and bringing his flute to his mouth, started playing his magical tune. The umbrellas jumped out of the rose bushes and attacked, clearly quite enraged, the beautiful fairy. But this time, she wasn't taken by surprise. She in turn did a gesture with her wand, and immediately it started raining. Now, as everybody knows, when the sun is shining, umbrellas remain closed. But when it's raining, they open. And that's exactly what the magical umbrellas did. But an open umbrella is surely not much of a weapon. It can't poke or hit someone on the head. Open as they were, the umbrellas were pushing and falling on each other in a desperate attempt to drive the fairy away, but to no avail. Finally, they fell exhausted to the ground. The giant sneezed.
Damn that lass! That weather is hazardous to my arthritis. I'd better go in and warn the Moon Lady.
So he did. But that's exactly what the fairy was hoping he would do. With the giant out of the picture, she could open the gate and let her sister in. The reign of the iridescent fairy didn't last for long. In a little while, a beautiful rainbow made its appearance, decorating the sky above the palace.
Now what are we to do?
Asked Silena.
In a few moments the whole palace guard will be looking for us.
What else? Replied calmly Lily Dream. We will cover ourselves with unseen water. Thus we will be invisible for all but each other, and none of the Moon Lady's guards will be able to see us.
It's no use. The water in the flask is not nearly enough to cover both of us,
observed Silena. You have a point, said seriously the fairy.
Then we will have to drink it. A zip is enough to make us invisible for good. But I don't want to stay invisible forever,
objected the Queen of Fireflies.
Sister, don't be daft,
scolded her Lily Dream, annoyed.
When we find our tree, we will make a wish that will negate the effect of the water. But yes, you're right. Why didn't I think of that?
Said the Bright Queen.
But if we become invisible, so they will be invisible to us, all the gods of the Moon Lady, and they'll be twice as dangerous. We will have to outsmart them,
replied coldly the fairy.
After all, we know our enemy is invisible, while they will be surely ignorant of the fact that we are invisible for them. And even if they realize we are unseen, they won't know we are unable to see them also, and they will be terrified. The secret is taking them by surprise.
Very well put.
So, bottoms up.
Having reached a decision, the two sisters drank the unseen water and sneaked in the palace by the kitchen window. There they saw a rolling pin flattening dough on its own, and a big spoon stirring the soup that was boiling in a pot.
Follow my lead,
said Lily Dream, winking at her sister, and lifted a candlestick high above her head. A terrified shriek was heard.
Ah!
And the spoon fell in the soup.
Look, Hildebrom! Screamed someone. The candlestick is flying! Ghost! Ah!
And with that final shout, the door opened, and someone completely invisible to the two sisters ran out the door to the hallway. Then a second cry was heard, and the chief cook, also unseen, rushed out of the kitchen.
Good thinking, laughed Silena. You really have them fooled.
Don't laugh, said Lily Dream, trying to sound serious and severe. Ghosts don't laugh. Then she took a spoon, dipped it in the soup that kept on boiling, and brought it to her mouth for a quick taste.
Delicious, she said. I'm glad the Moon Lady eats well. I'd hate to see her starving to death.
Do not jest, said the Queen of Fireflies. You are not foolish enough to think we can go around the palace scaring folks and pretending that we are ghosts to all those invisible people.
No, that wouldn't be wise at all, would it?
Agreed the iridescent fairy.
Not everybody is as gullible as the cooks and the servants. Let's proceed with caution, suggested Silena.
So the two sisters went into the hallway with the intention of discovering the Wonder Tree and the Poet Sorcerer.
She probably has hidden the tree in the throne room, whispered the fairy. That is where we should be heading.
They had taken but a few steps when marching echoed in the hallway, and a group of spears flew towards them. The two sisters pushed themselves against the wall, and held their breath till the Moon Lady's guards passed by. Then they kept on going without further delay till they reached the throne room. They carefully opened the door and sneaked in.
"Who opened the door?" echoed a harsh, metal woman's voice.
"Must have been the Queen, my beloved," replied a melodic male voice.
Yes," said a bit more softly the woman. "Go ahead, poet sorcerer. Tell me some more of your love-filled verses. I so enjoy. Or else I might consider a waste of valuable resources the love potion I drop every night into your wine."
"That vixen!" whispered Lily Dream. "That's cheating!"
"We are lucky the magic of the Wonder Tree has no power on the human heart, or we'd really be in trouble," said Silena.
"That witch would have made him fall desperately in love with her without hope of salvation. Look, sister, she has filled that big tub with dirt and had put in the Wonder Tree to keep it always at her side. Let's waste no time," said Lily Dream. "All we have to do is break one of the fruits, and all will be mended with a wish. I'll do it immediately."
With these words, the fairy took a fruit and broke it on the floor.
"Ha!" she laughed triumphantly. "I want right now, and without a moment's waste, the Wonder Tree, the Poet Sorcerer, and ourselves to be transported to the otherworldly forest." "No, sister, what have you done?" screamed the Queen of Fireflies. "Have you forgotten? You can't negate the previous wonder of the tree. You can only modify it."
"Who spoke?" screamed full of rage the metal voice of the woman that the two sisters had heard when they had entered the throne room. "Who dares to use my tree?"
At the same moment, a fruit came off the tree and broke on the floor.
"I wish the invisible to become visible,"
demanded the Moon Lady. Presently, the effect of the unseen water evaporated and the two sisters appeared before their enemy. But at the same time, the Moon Lady, the poet, and everyone else became visible to them.
"Quick, sister, grab a fruit and correct your mistake while you have time."
Indeed, the fairy took a fruit and attempted to break it, but it was too late. The Moon Lady, a tall woman with impressive garments, pearly skin, and hair long and black as ebony, had already broken a second fruit and was giving the order.
"I want the intruders to freeze."
At the same moment, the two sisters were imprisoned in pillars of ice, without having the power to move a finger anymore, although, surprisingly enough, they could still speak.
"And now," said the Moon Lady, "let's see what we have here. Two cunning weasels sneaking uninvited into my palace. Surely now you regret it. Tell me, before I destroy you insolent lasses, what do you think here?"
"The tree is ours," said Lily Dream. "We've come to take it back." "Yes, and to free the Poet Sorcerer of your malignant spell,"
added the Queen of Fireflies.
"Listen to that audacity," said the Moon Lady. "You almost amuse me. You are making me wonder how incredibly yummy it would be to have you watch me enjoy the poet's company and use the magic of the tree for all eternity. I'll keep you here for as long as you continue to amuse me, and then I'll wipe you out like bugs. Well, go on, Poet Sorcerer, sing me your loves, only you know how."
The poor sisters, they were forced to listen all day long to the poet reciting his love filled verses to the Moon Lady, having no way to free themselves or react in any way. They swore and cursed, to the great enjoyment and amusement of the Moon Lady. At nightfall she left to give light to the night sky, and the poet, having drunk a quantity of love potion, was locked in his room, mad with love, crying and yearning to find himself once more in the arms of his beloved. The gods went to sleep, and the two frozen sisters were left alone, trapped inside their icy prisons. "We are lost," mourned Silena.
"Yes,"
admitted Lilydrine.
"no one can help us. We will remain forever two statues of ice."
But hold on a minute. What was that? Suddenly, from the open window, dozens of bright fireflies swarmed inside the throne room.
"Oh, yes," said Silena. "My daughters, my children, you haven't forgotten me. It's a pity you can't find a way to help me in this pitiful state I am in."
The fireflies didn't answer, but they did something better. United as one, they started to fall with a little weight on a fruit of the Wonder Tree and pushing it as hard as they could. After a lot of effort and persistence, at dawnbreak, the fruit finally fell on the ground, breaking in many little pieces.
"We are saved, sister," said Lilydrine. "Make a wish, and make it a good one."
"Of course," said Silena.
"My little fireflies have no voice to make a wish,
so the power of the fruit passes to me, their queen. I wish the sun to shine so bright that his warmth melts every ice on this island." Indeed, presently the sun rose from behind the mountains, so big and full of warmth that the ice imprisoning the two sisters melted.
"Free! We are free!"
shouted Lilydrine and Silena.
"And now it's your turn, my sister,"
said thrilled Silena.
"Make a wish
and choose it wisely." Lilydrine grabbed the fruit and broke it precisely at the moment the Moon Lady was entering the throne room. "No!" she screamed, full of rage. "I don't know how you managed to escape from my prison, but it's the last trick you've played."
"Cruel, heartless woman,"
shouted the fairy.
"Listen and tremble.
I want you and your palace and all your servants to be transported where once stood the otherworldly forest, never to return, and the otherworldly forest, the Caramel Waterfall, and all the surrounding areas to appear here, on the edge of the world. Here will become there, and there here, with no turning back." Immediately, everything started to shake and tremble, as if by an earthquake, and the palace became transparent to the point of being nowhere to be seen. It had disappeared with the Moon Lady and all her servants, while there, at the edge of the world, remained only the poet sorcerer, whom a previous wish had forced to stay there forever. The two sisters and the Wonder Tree. At the same time, another transformation, equally impressive, started happening. Points of trees started sprouting from the ground and gaining height as time went by. Those were the trees of the otherworldly forest, coming, and with them came all the rocks, the Caramel Waterfall, and everything else surrounding the forest. The poet sorcerer, as the effect of the love potion was evaporating, was quickly coming back to his senses, and the ridiculous love-stricken look was slowly disappearing from his face.
"We've done it!"
shouted ecstatic the two sisters.
"We've triumphed! We are back home, or rather, our home has returned to us. Here we will live happily forever with our poet. But tell us, asked Lily Dream, which one of us will you take for your spouse?
The poet sorcerer became red with shame. You are both quite lovely, he sighed, but I'm in love with the deep sea of fantasy and the omnivorous fire of inspiration. I belong to them. No woman shall have my heart. The two sisters exchanged a look full of meaning and burst out laughing. They were glad that the poet would stay with them, even though he wanted neither of them to become his wife. He would become their friend, and at nightfall the canopy would be filled with beautiful starflowers, since the quill of the poet-sorcerer would remain free as a bird to write verses and poems with muse and guide, the ever-awakening inspiration that only freedom nourishes and keeps alive. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. Thank you.